Hello guys, welcome to my channel. I hope everything is okay in your life. In this video, I will try to briefly explain everything I know about combat mechanics. The first thing we will check is damage. As you know, damage is determined by the damage values and the multipliers indicated on the skill. This damage value on the skill is reflected to the opponent in PvP or PvE as a result of certain formula. Damage on the skills can be reflected in different ways. The damage make up the skill's base damage, and this base damage can be increased with the special attack modifiers. It's your AP that basically makes your damage goes up. What makes the damage decrease is your DP and damage reduction value. I will explain this in the next part of the video. Let's talk about special attack modifiers if you wish. The attack modifiers types in the game and how much damage they provide are listed as the list in the screen. The most obvious for us is this critical attack. In both PvE and PvP, we want the multipliers to be reflected at 100% critical chance or close to 100% when we attacked. To attack critical value must be 100% or higher. A value above 100% does not increase the damage. As you know, we have multipliers in our skills and every one of them has their own chance to proc critical. If your critical rate below 100%, you may not hit critical at all hits, so it reduces your damage overall. We can increase this through skill-based critical buffs and add-ons based buffs. At the same time, the skills we used have their own critical values. This may be at 100% or at 0%. We don't need to think about our critical value in skills that are 100%. But for those are not 100%, we must take sure that the buffs we're receiving brings our skills closer to 100%, and we must determine our buffs accordingly. For air attack, our opponents must not be in the contact with the ground. There are CC types in the game that ensures that there is no contact with the ground, and we will check them in the CC mechanics section. If we use a skill that has an air attack modifiers, as soon as the contact with the ground is lost, we will attack with the air attack modifier. For a back attack, we need to attack our opponents from behind. For down attack, the opponent's body must be on the ground. Counter and speed attacks are PvE based and allow you to counterattack mobs while you are attacking to you. Not every skill does this mechanic. In general, its active use is not seen much in the game. There are also buffs in the game that increase the effects we mentioned. These are either skill based or add-on based. You can increase the special attack type of damage for food or meal and etc. Skill based buffs are activated when you use the skills, but add-on based buffs need to hit an opponent in order to be active. Generally, the buffs and add-ons buffs taken from the skills are found to be activated within the first multiplier. Therefore, the add-ons will also affect the damage of the skill you used. Add-ons have 3 different types. There are tier 1, 2 and 3. You can increase your special attack damage by add-ons too. So far, we have talked how and where the damage originated. At the same time, there are 3 different types of damage in the game. Remember that there are evasion and damage reduction types in response to these different types. These types are divided into 3 as melee, ranged and magical. It is determined while designing the class according to the weapons and skills used by each class and does not change. You can find it in the battle stat tab when you press my information, T button, to learn the attack type of your class. At the same time, if you want to know how much stats in this tab affects your character, you can find them in the explanation sections when you hover over them. We talk about the damage in the time that has passed so far. Let's consider defensive situations if you wish. There are 2 types of defense stunts in the game, damage reduction and evasion. I would like to give a brief information on determining which of these structures the classes will use and according to the what tier development. During the design of the class, it's given a certain amount of stats. These stats generally from the basis of it. At the same time, the method of the makes it easier for classes to choose between evasion or DR preference, and which is logical in the current game structure. Evasion buffs that a class gets from a skill passive, skill buffs and etc. If it is too much, evasion is a logical choice for that class. For example, Mystic Striker and these kind of classes suitable for evasion, but Valkyrie, Warrior, Guardian, Nova, these kind of classes has no passive evasion or something like that. so evasion is not logical choices for the endgame. Of course, although the DR preference seems to be more valid for many classes at the beginning of the game, the increase in the stacked evasion value as it approaches the end of the game ensures the active use of evasion in both in PvE and PvP scenes. On the screen you can see all classes are reasonably played for DR or evasion, and on the other hand you can find all their combat types too. Defensive stats, which we call damage reduction, DR, provides you with a fixed reduction of reflected damage after a certain formula. Evasion, on the other hand, allows you to avoid multipliers of reflected damage. This evasion rate is related to accuracy. If the all total accuracy in your character is more than 100% compared to the total evasion values of your opponents you encounter, none of your multiplier will miss. In fact, for you to understand more easily, the ratio is 4 accuracy corresponds to 5 evasion in general. The accuracy value we mentioned is fed from weapons, accessories, your gloves, crystals, foods, potions, artifacts, furniture, and more, and etc. You can use garment.com website to make the calculation between the accuracy and evasion values we mentioned easily. The website is actually a very humble website where you can see all the stats we mentioned here in the numerical terms. You can create your own character and you can add food, elixir buffs, and etc. Also, you can create your possible opponents here and you can compare them for hit rate. Of course, garment.com website is not only for that calculation. In this website, there are plenty of other good things that helps you about game. You should definitely use this website. I want to thank you to SCO, prepared this website for us. We have talked a lot things so far. We need to add one more title. I would like to tell you about the mechanic, which is defense mechanics called special attack evasion. As you know, we can increase our current damage with special attack modifiers. I transferred these values at the beginning of the video. It's possible to miss these special attacks with special attack evasion. Normal evasion and special evasion are different from each other. Normal evasion works in relation to accuracy. Special evasion has its own rate and misses the multipliers of the damage that can be taken. This defensive mechanic is fed by food, potion, crystals, karma stars, and etc. A skill with 10 multipliers reflected on you and you will be missed, or damage will be reflected to you depending on the chance. For each multiplier separately, you can miss 3 of them, or you can miss 4 of them, or you can never miss none of them. It depends on the RNG. Do not forget that this only applies to special attacks modifier. Any uncritical hits against your face cannot be dodged by special evasion. I know it was very tiring introduction. If you wish, let's move on the parts that we will crown what we have learned so far. Defensive mechanics, iframe, super armor, and front guard. The first one and strongest one is iframe. In this form, your character is not physically in the game, it does not take any external damage or CC. In some iframe situations, the character may appear visually, for example Guardian's Dash, but is untouchable or can disappear from the game momentarily, like Sorcerer's Dash. For super armor, in this form your character is 100% immune to any outside CC but will take damage, although we don't know for sure. Some characters take a certain amount of less damage during their super armor skills. Do not forget, super armor is open for grapple. For front guard, in this form your character can be protected from any damage and CC that may come in front of you. In some cases, if your opponent's damage center falls behind your front guard defense, you have a chance to get CC or damage, and your front guard defense has a gauge, and if it goes down to 0, you will get a gauge non-regen debuff that lasts for 5 seconds. In the game, some bosses and some monsters can have special hits such as SA and front guard ignore. Actually, we are getting to the fun part. Are you ready? Maybe many of you know about this part, or maybe you know it incompletely. It will be good for you to refresh your knowledge. Yes, the subject I'm talking about is CC mechanic. I will show them all one by one and then I will talk about their rules. The points of the CCs give to the other side when they are applied are visible in the image. You can also see approximate how long they last. It's possible to divide the CCs into 3, standing, grounding, and other CCs. We have different type of states. In grounded states mean your opponent's body is laying on the ground. Air state means your opponent's body has no point touching to the ground. Recovery state means your opponent's trying to stand up from grounded states. It has very short duration. In recovery states, if you are backward of your opponent starts to take back attack damage instead of down attack damage. Ice states mean you may be in an ice cube from some classes like Witch and Wizards. It lasts approximately 2 seconds, then finish with bound CC. Grapple states means you are in a grapple animation. It lasts until the animation ends. You cannot grab someone in grapple animation. Let's start with Stiffness. Stiffness is our first standing CC, 0.7 CC counter, and duration approximately 1 second, maybe a little bit more than 1 second. This is stiffen animation. As you can see, it looks like someone hits your stomach and you just say, "Ha." Our another standing CC is a Knockback. 0.7 CC counter, and approximately it takes 1.5 seconds, maybe a little bit more, close to 2 seconds. The animation is like this. As you can see, our another CC is Stun. Stun has 1 CC point and the duration is approximately 2.5 seconds. As you can see, it looks like someone dizzy. Let's talk about grounded CCs. Float has 1 point CC and approximately 3 second CC duration. Float has different situation than the others. As you guys know, we have different stands in CCs. Air state, grounded states, and recovered states. And this CC has 3 of them. Float CC starts with 1.5 second air state, then approximately 1 second ground state. It lasts approximately 2.5-ish second. In this air state, you can use any kind of air attack damage skill and it applies with air attack multiplier. We learned them in the beginning of the video. Another CC is Bound. Bound is a very bad CC, I think the worst CC at grounded CCs. The duration is approximately 2 seconds, CC point is 1. This is Bound. When you apply the CC, someone seems like just drop to the ground. Like that. Last grounded CC and the best CC in the game is Knockdown. Knockdown has 1 point and the duration is approximately 3.5 to 4 seconds. Knockdown has 0.5 second-ish air state and the remaining approximately 3 seconds is grounded state. Mostly an other experienced player recommends you to apply your second CC as Knockdown because the longer grounded states will allow you to apply your damage with down attack damage. Other CCs we have Downsmash and Airsmash. Downsmash has 30% chance. Downsmash is only liable if your opponent is on the ground. Airsmash has 100% chance and it is only applicable if your opponent in air state. And on the other hand, they don't have CC counter. They have 0 point and their duration is approximately 1 second. This is Airsmash. As you can see, I applied float CC in that air state, in that small duration. I applied my another float skill and your opponent just turn on the air like a torpedo. So that is the animation of air smash. We mostly do not recommend to use air smash because the air smash will not add an extra CC duration on your float animation. It takes from 1 second from your float animation. And your opponent just go up immediately. Let's talk about Downsmash. Your opponent needs to be on the ground. This is Downsmash animation. We mostly use down smashes to increase the duration of grounded stays. I mean, we will talk about that in the rules. We mostly use down smashes after knockdown. The end of the knockdown animation, we will use that down smashes. If you use double down smashes step by step at the end of the knockdown animation, your opponent's CC counter will become 0. Let me show you that on dummies. For example, you catch someone with stun, 1 point, stiffness 1.7, and knockdown. Now it's immune, and down smash, and down smash. Now, as you can see, the CC timer, I mean the counter, just becomes 0 because I keep my opponents 5 seconds in the ground. I have to add this one. Please do not. I have to add this one. Please do not practice your combos or your CC practices on dummy. Do not try on them because the float animation is not working properly like our friends, as you see. And on the other hand, every down smashes work 100% on these dummies. This is a bug or something. Hopefully they will fix this problem in the future. But for now, you maybe practice your CC timer and etc. to learn everything on dummies, but do not try your complete combo practice on dummies. It will not be healthy for your game experience. And let's talk about additional infos and rules about CCs. Grapple and Freeze had their own animations, do not forget that. They are not CC. They are not CC. They are only animation. Freeze has bounce CC after animation of ice, approximately 1 to 2 seconds. Grapple has their own and different animation for each class and also ends with different CC. For example, Wolfie has float CC, Lan has bounce CC, Striker has knockdown CC or something like that. When your opponent's counter reaches 2 or more, your opponent is given a 5-second CC immunity. If your opponent runs away and isn't CC'd for 5 seconds, his CC counter resets to 0, even if it was at 1.7 when he ran away. If you keep your opponents in CC'd for 5 seconds, you forcefully reset your opponent's CC timer. Players call it CC reset. We talk about CCs, let's talk about resists. Our last subject is about resist in the game. Resist only works against CCs. It can fed by food, elixirs, perfumes, crystals, alchemist stone, or class skills, passive e-buffs, and etc. Resist works for PvP only, maximum 80%. 100% is only applicable for PvE purpose. You can also have ignore resist debuff for your opponent. It can fed by crystals, alchemist stones, and etc. For some classes, they may have some special ignore resist debuffs. For example, Awakening Valkyrie and Awakening Sage has 30% ignore knockdown resist debuff for your opponents. For example, Sorcerer's e-buff has all ignore resist debuff, something like that. Generally, CCs and the skill being the first hit of the skill. For some special skills may have continuous CC, like ultimates. So actually we learn a lot of things. Let's watch this video and what does this knowledge change in the damage in total. So this part is prepared for the result. We learn a lot of things and I want to share what we learn and how we can apply with all this knowledge. So normally I will not get any buff or anything or something like that, and I will just use 2 skills. I will grab him and I will use my WC. We will check the damage in total what I made. As you can see, it approximately applies 20% damage. So what we learned for today, we learned crit rates, we learned other things, we learned special attacks, all of them. Now I will increase my damage with 100% crit rate with my buffs, and I will also hit him with 100% crit rate with Aerod. We learned float CC has a little bit long air time, and I will use this one. Let's check it. Now I'm getting all my buffs. As you can see, this is the difference. What we learned in the video collection can be adjusted and applied according to the characters. Of course, it will take time to figure the character you have played and to develop it further with this information. An experienced player With full knowledge of this information will be much quicker to practice the gameplay of any newly released class. Everything we mentioned in this basic mechanics of the game. If there is anything I missed or forgot about these mechanics, please let me know in the comment section. I also added an image link for you. The image has summarized version of this video. It can take a days and weeks to prepare this and similar contents. If you want to support me, you can do it for free. Please do not forget to like the videos, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell and leave a comment in order to not to miss the contents I created for you. These 3 things you do will increase the stats of the channel and make it recommended to more people. I hope you guys like my contents. Do not forget, BDO is just a game. Have a nice game.